Yo, what up? This is LP. You were watching Splash Mag.
This is Splash Mag and welcome LP. How you doing?
I'm good, man. A little tired, but I'm good.
I think you haven't been touring Europe for a couple of years, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been a few years. Yeah, since I think we toured out here for All Sleeping You're Dead like twice, I think. Yeah. But since then, yeah, I haven't come out. So.
You know I get down, I'm a downer, heart pounder, LOL, smelling like salmon, felony broadcast, Ellis, dressed to the nines like a target, dressed like a bullseye, but a blind archer, harder for piranha, swimming with a blood chum water, lark in the darkness, watching, I got this, boombox, burner boy, hot shit.
So what have you done the last 6 years? I think you have been asked this question a couple of times, because you have been into so many things. I think your last solo album has been a couple of years back, then you had this collabo album with Killer Mike, so what have you done in between the times?
Well, I mean, you know, I've lived, but I've worked on a lot of records. I put a instrumental album out. Yeah. I was working on my record, working on Killer Mike's record, so you know, just basically behind the scenes working on music, trying to get my shit together so I could come out with 3 albums in 2 years. So. You know, and I take maybe a little bit longer to do my records than other people just because I like to put love and care into them. But, yeah, just mostly working on music.
So I've been going through some of your lyrics a bit more carefully, and it went from politics to sports and to very many things you always put a reference to. So how long do you need to write a lyric? Or is it you just sitting there and writing 16 bars within 1 hour? Or is it you more like sitting there 8 bars and then the next day another 8 bars? How do you do that?
It really depends. It depends on the song. It depends on the mood, you know. Sometimes it comes out in an hour. Sometimes it takes a year, you know. I mean, the thing about it is that I'm always going back and I'm always refining it, and but you know, I don't have any real consistent method. It really depends on how inspired I am and if I've got something to say, you know. So it can, like I said, it can happen like that, or it can be something that I write and I just leave it alone for a while and I come back and I pick at it and I rewrite it, and so you know, it can vary.
And I've been asking myself, from where do you take the inspiration? Is it more like going through the media, reading newspapers and checking out the internet, or is it just you walking around and seeing things?
It's everything. It's all of that. It's being alive, you know. It's being living in Brooklyn. It's being a member of, you know, society, or at least on the outside of society, you know. It's just whatever fucking shit gets thrown at me kind of comes out in a weird, you know, eventually it just filters out into these songs. So I take inspiration from life, from relationships, and from you know, internal dialogue, and from external forces, and from the weirdness of the world, and you know, I think the same place that most artists, you know, get their shit, which is just from being alive, you know, and if you're an artist, your real job is to pay attention a little bit to just sort of the shit going on in your head, you know what I mean? And that's like the only thing we're good for, you know, is like we take the time, we have a little bit extra time to think about shit, and most people just don't bother or don't have that luxury. So, you know, I take that seriously.
I've been asking because I sometimes got the feeling that artists go into another world, like they will live in this artist world, like touring, being in the studio, and have problems getting based or going back to the real world. So you know what I mean? Like living in a parallel world or something?
Yeah. I don't think I've ever been to the real world, or you know, I'm not even sure the world is real, to be honest with you. So I wouldn't know what to tell you about the real world. I just know that you know, I think that touring is not the most productive time for me, except for doing shows. I mean, I like doing shows, but that's not really a time when I'm really creating, you know? It's a time when I'm expressing what I've created. Yeah, I mean, shit, that's why I did music. So I didn't have to be in the real world, you know? I wanted to hide, you know, I saw what the real world was, and I was like, nah, I'm not going to do that. I think I'll do this other weird world. I think I'll create my own world. So, you know.
But going back to your lyrics, I sometimes have the feeling like Thrones over Brooklyn and stuff, that you're some kind of Cassandra, somebody who's telling or seeing something in the future which will go, something which will go on. And do you have sometimes the feeling that you see things people don't see, and then you could stand and say, okay, I said that this will happen, and it happened?
Yeah, a little bit. Not that I'm not like I'm not prophetic. I don't have psychic powers. It's like, but I do. Sometimes a little bit. I think that there are people either have like this vision or not. You either kind of see shit in a certain way and kind of see through certain things, or you don't. And I've always felt like I did, and not in a positive way. It's not like something I'm proud of. It's not like I'm like, yeah, see, I told you there would be drones flying over the city, because there are now, and it's not something I'm excited about. It's not like something I'm like, I told you. It's actually depressing to me. It kind of sucks that, but the reality of it is that I've just always been tuned into something that I've seen in reality, and I haven't been really easily able to not see it, and more than often or too often I'm right, and that sucks, because I shouldn't be right about shit, because I got a pretty bleak perspective on what's going on in the world. But it's not really about anything like that, and I don't always assume that I'm right. I'm not trying to be right. I think that my records are more about how I think, regardless of whether or not it's right. It's just an expression of sometimes an expression of madness, or even just feeling like you see something that's true in a world that won't acknowledge it, is a feeling of like, insanity a little bit. And so that's why I do these records, because I got to get it out, because I got to be a normal person. If I don't do the records, I'll just go crazy. So.
Will you take part of the election campaign and stuff in the US, or do you have any thoughts about this? Because everybody's talking about this thing at the moment. Are you interested in such things?
No. I don't feel obliged to participate in things that I don't think are uncorrupted. I mean, the things that I don't think are uncorrupted. I don't look at the elections as reality. I look at them as a show for the masses to give you the illusion that you're involved in something that is not actually. And that's just me. Anyone else, do your thing. I'm not anti, elections. I mean, I think that if I didn't think that it was corrupted and bullshit, I would probably participate, and I have done that, But I'm at the point in my life where I look at this shit like it's like American Idol to me, Like I don't fucking vote on American Idol, I don't call in and like, yeah, he's the best singer, It's entertaining, but I don't really feel the need to participate.
So have you been following what was going on with Death Grips and happened? Because I would like to talk to artists, because I think they wanted to put the album out, and they had some problems with the label, and then they decided to just put it in the internet. So I was asking myself, what would you do in a situation if a label told you, okay, the album will come out in 5 or 6 months, and you say, but I'm finished now, I want to show it to the public right now. How do you feel? Because you've been running a label and you're an artist, and maybe you know both sides of it.
Is that something that's happening right now?
Yeah, it just happened a couple of, I think 2 weeks back, when Death Grips just released their album or just put it in the internet, when I think they had some problems with the label because of release dates and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know, I couldn't possibly get into the head of somebody, it's like, I'm sure that they had their reasons, I think that it's difficult, it's complicated sometimes to involve yourself in a record label, because the reality of a record label is it's a business, and they're looking at it like, well, we need to make sure that this goes a certain way. And for an artist, you're just about art, and you just want people to hear your music. And so I don't really know, I don't get myself into those situations usually, just because it's never happened to me like that, So I can't really comment on that. I'm sure if they did that, then they felt like they had their reason to do it. And I think that one thing is like there's a huge difference in reality as to like what people think a record label experience is going to be and what it really is. And sometimes it's not the right move for you. Sometimes the right move is for you to do your own thing. And, you know, sometimes the right move is to go with a label and to use their support and to, like, really work with them to do it that way. So I think it's not something that I'm really, you know, I wouldn't really want to comment on anything that I don't really know about, you know. That seems like a very specific situation. I don't really know the inside details, you know.
But in general, would you just upload your current album in the internet and would say, fuck it, I don't need a label and all this stuff anymore, just take the free download and I make my money with touring, for example?
Maybe. It's something that I've thought about, you know. I think it's cool that it's an option. I think it's cool that that's something that artists can do now, you know. And I think there are a lot of different approaches to being like a professional musician now that weren't available years ago. The same way that you can't really sell the same amount of records that you used to be able to sell through the old school way of doing it. There are new ways to involve yourself. I think because of that, people are just like, fuck it, I can, you know. So I've thought about it, you know. I think it's sort of I think it's really cool that there are even ways to think about this shit other than I got to do it on a record label and I got to put it out. For me personally, I chose to do my record on a label and, you know, work with people and try and put it out in a more traditional way. But I could see myself in the future doing something like that.
But on the other side, isn't it hard? Like you work on an album for maybe 2 years and then you just one click, 1 second, and it will be in the internet and everybody can listen to it within minutes and can tell you within 10 minutes this album sucks or this album is the best album you ever did. Isn't it some kind of bizarre?
The nature of putting music out is bizarre, you know. But that doesn't change just because the internet exists. It's the same thing. It's just quicker, you know. I mean, you put a record out, and no matter what, if people hate it, they hate it. If they like it, they like it. I mean, my record leaked a month before it came out, and I think it hurt my sales. Legitimately, I think it did. But the thing is that everyone really liked it. It was a really positive reaction. So it's hard to tell, really. You know, it's like if you're looking at it like, you know, I want to make sure that I sell as many as possible, then there's a very logical thing that says, well, I'm going to make sure that it's not out there for free before I release it. It's just logic, you know. It's like it's a business, you know. But the nature of being a professional recording artist is strange because of that anyway, you know. It's like you put all your time into something and you're gambling. It's like, you know, Russian roulette. Like, you know, you put it out and you're at the mercy of public opinion, but that's the job. That's what it is.
One of the last things I've seen of you was this freestyle about this Bauer Harlem Shake. And I've been talking to him, and he was a bit surprised that you picked this beat and that you liked it. So what did you think? Or is this showing the way people see you, that they will always think you're an underground MC and you don't understand this new music stuff? And how do you see it yourself? Because I think it's some kind of dogma of the fans, isn't it?
I've always been different than people perceive me. You know what I mean? But I make the new shit.
Yeah.
So
the new album is very close, or is some kind of close to this because it's very drum driven? So I thought there's a logical bridge from Bauer to you, isn't it?
I like the beat. What can I say? It's pretty simple. I'm a hip hop head. You know what I mean? The shit was hot. So I don't really feel like it needs to be explained any further than that. Anyone's perception of me that says that I wouldn't want to jump on a hot beat is fucking demented, you know? It doesn't make any sense. I'm a rapper. So if you make a dope beat, then a rapper will want to jump on it, you know? It's pretty simple.
So would you work with him? Because he would love to work with you.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. No doubt. I mean, if he's making beats like that, then yeah.
I think his EP sounds like that. So are you into this? I think you have been working with down south MCs, no doubt, and everybody knows it. But are you into this trap, or how you ever want to call this music?
I'm into good music, period. You know what I mean? I'm not like, I just like songs. I just like records. I like rappers, you know? So I don't really have categories that I think about, you know? I'm not like, I'm into trap music or I'm into this music. You know, it's like, I just like working with people. I like challenging myself. I like doing things that I haven't done before. You know, to me, I feel like there's always, you know, no matter what, you don't have to just stick to. It's like I think there's a misconception that just because I don't make that type of music, or that people don't make a particular type of music, that they can't like it or be involved in it. And that's, you know, that's bullshit to me. And I'm kind of feel like I'm trying to help break that idea down a little bit. You know, if someone like me is fucking with someone like T.I., then maybe there's, you know, maybe you could take something away from that. You know what I mean? I think good hip hop is good hip hop. Good songs are good songs. And that's really it. And I think I can make good records with a lot of different types of people. And I'm interested in that. That's fun for me.
So how long will it take until we hear the next record of you? Have you already been thinking about it, or are you working on something?
I'm thinking about it. I mean, I think what's going to happen, I think, is probably me and Killer Mike want to do a record together where we're both rapping. Yeah. Maybe an EP or something. But I don't really have any plans yet. I've been touring for like 4 months, you know, basically on and off since the record came out. And when I get home, I have a few more shows, but then pretty much for the rest of the year, I'm gonna be sitting in the studio and trying to figure out what the next thing is. But you'll hear something from me, definitely. There'll be some new shit. It'll probably be, you know, early next year or something, you know. But something. You'll hear something. It's not gonna be 5 years, I'll tell you that much. So.
Okay, then thank you for taking the time.
Yeah, man.